March. Professor Michel Chossudovsky heads the Canadian-based Centre for Research on Globalization. Let's talk to him, shall we? He's on the line now joining us. Professor, good to see you. Thanks for being with us. Despite the ongoing fighting in the country, Assad doesn't seem swayed and seems to be going ahead with what he says are democratic reforms in the country. Does that mean the end of the Syrian crisis is in sight?
Well, it's perhaps not the end of the Syrian crisis, but it's a major turning point. First of all, Bashar al-Assad has very strong popular support, as you mentioned in the coverage of the major pro-government rallies which are taking place today, and it is the first anniversary of the beginning of these. Of this insurgency, I insist insurgency and not protest movement, which started on the 17th of March in the border city of Dara. And I've been following this for the last year. I was in Syria shortly before these events unfolded, and it is absolutely clear this is an armed insurrection supported by foreign powers. There are special forces on the ground from NATO countries. MI6 and CIA operatives are there. This is from their own sources, incidentally. It's not hearsay, it is actual fact. And it is also actual fact that the opposition is integrated by terrorist entities. This was confirmed by the Arab League report, which the Arab League then censored, so to speak. It was also confirmed by Secretary of State Hillary Clinton in a very candid statement where she says, yes, there are terrorist groups, including Al-Qaeda, which are supporting the opposition, which suggests that the US State Department is supporting an opposition which is integrated by terrorist elements. Now, the latest atrocities committed in Homs, everything indicates that these atrocities were committed by terrorist organizations which were acting on behalf of the Western military alliance. So we're in a very, very serious, at a very serious crossroads, because the Western military alliance is triggering atrocities within Syria with a view to then demonizing the government, when in fact there are operatives and proxies behind these events which ultimately point to the complicity of the Western military alliance.
Yeah, Michel, the big question's been, you know, who forms the Free Syrian Army? I mean, Damascus maintains it's fighting foreign-funded terrorists and mercenaries, but is that true? We hear a lot of the Free Syrian Army, which is a key part of the armed opposition, is made up of thousands of defectors from Assad's military. Well,
but you know that you hear all sorts of misinformation, and it's quite revealing that there have been defections from Al Jazeera regarding the coverage and on the grounds of bias. People who simply can't take the media lies. But I've been consulting various military sources, UK, and I quote, British special forces have met up with members of the Free Syrian Army, and they are training members of the Free Syrian Army from a base in Turkey. British MI6 operatives, etc., have reportedly been training the rebels in urban warfare. Now, what is that? That means that operatives of the Western military alliance, namely NATO, are on the ground inside Syria, and they are complicit in an entity, an armed entity, which is not an opposition, which is fighting government forces. So that we have to understand that there are crimes being committed not by the government. I'm not suggesting that the government doesn't bear some responsibility, but these are crimes being committed by officials of the Western military alliance in supporting terrorist entities, to use the term of the Arab League,
Michel,
and attacking a sovereign country.
We know when we have you on, you've always got a lot to say, and it's always good to hear from you. Unfortunately, the time's against us. There's one last thought I want to get in the last 45 seconds we've got. Another twist to this. Assad says some of the opposition includes Al-Qaeda, even the US admits that. think that one through, doesn't that mean, therefore, the countries backing the opposition are actually backing Al-Qaeda, against which America's waging its so-called war on terror?
Well, absolutely. This is the contradiction. But the United States of America has always backed Al-Qaeda. They've backed Al-Qaeda in Libya. They backed it in Afghanistan. And bear in mind, Al-Qaeda is the creation of the CIA. So we're not... we have several areas of debate. There's diplomacy on the one hand, and then there are these very gruesome intelligence ops, which consist in going in and destabilizing countries and then blaming the government for atrocities which are committed by terrorist organizations supported by NATO and the United States.
Thanks ever so much for your thoughts. Always good to hear from you from Canada there. Professor Michel Chossudovsky, Director of the Centre for Research on Globalization. Thank you.